Animat, and welcome back to the Muppet Vlog. Now this time we're going to be looking into the 18th episode of the 3rd season of The Muppet Show, which features Leslie Uggams. Now, I am pretty sure that nowadays Leslie Uggams might actually be a familiar name to you guys, considering that she actually is very well known to play the role of Kissy Reynolds in the TV miniseries Roots, in which she actually got a nomination for a Golden Globe and an Emmy Award. And even on Broadway, she is actually pretty well known for winning the Tony Award for Best Actress in Hallelujah Baby. But that is not necessarily what you guys might actually remember her for. In recent years, she was actually next to Ryan Reynolds playing the role of Blind Al in Deadpool. So yes, that is actually her right there. But what is very interesting about this episode is that Leslie Uggams is not the only special guest star here. She was also next to Big Bird. Now, I don't really need to explain more about Big Bird. You guys know exactly who he is. He is our favorite giant bird who lives on Sesame Street. And my god, like, what a fascinating history that the bird has, really. I mean, like, having his own movie with Follow That Bird, and like, everybody pretty much grew up with Big Bird. I mean, since everybody grew up with Sesame Street, we all recognize Big Bird. He's like a part of the family in our childhood. So, going into the episode in which both Leslie and Big Bird appeared in, it's actually quite fascinating, and I was not expecting this to happen in this episode. Okay, so you might remember a little bit back in, I think it's the Leslie Ann Warren episode, where we're introduced to Gonzo's daredevil side. This is where we are starting to see Gonzo into how he is today. This is the Gonzo that really is shaped up to how we recognize the great Gonzo. And on that episode, we see him doing his daredevil work with the motorcycle. In this episode, however, this is where we actually see Gonzo for the first time with his love with Camilla. So this is our full-on introduction with Camilla, and Gonzo trying to go out on a date with Camilla, but things don't necessarily work out as well, considering that for Gonzo, he sees all the chickens are kind of the same, which in a way you could say it's racist or chickenist or speciesist or whatever, but yeah, that's kind of a conundrum. That, and also, like, he would put his eye on other birds to see, like a beautiful creature, like, when Big Bird came in and Camilla got jealous. Gonzo tried to go romantic and give Camilla flowers, but apparently she has hay fever and goes sneezing all around. So, that is actually pretty interesting. Even though it started off pretty rocky in terms of that relationship, it is still very intriguing to watch the origins of this relationship. Where did Camilla come from? And where did, Gonzo's love for her came from? Like, how did Gonzo ended up falling in love with Camilla? It has already been stated before where Gonzo does have a love for chickens. This began all the way back onto Season 2, but this is now fully developed, and I think Season 3 is really the moment where we see the true Gonzo. This is the full development of how we know Gonzo today, and this really does define that. It really does help, actually. And another thing that I want to mention, at least, let's actually move on with some of the skits that actually did appear, or the musical numbers. Trying to look in here, there's also the Muppet Labs. That was actually a lot of fun, and it was really enjoyable. Like, it was more of a little quickie than anything. It's shorter than most other Muppet Labs episodes, but it was still really fun to watch. There is Miss Piggy singing Mad About the Frog, and that's more of your standard, classical musical number. Nothing too big in terms of theming. It's, like, basically the default template with Miss Piggy singing Mad About the Frog, which, of course, it seems like the perfect song to sing in The Muppet Show with the characters of Miss Piggy and Kermit and what have you. And also on the side you have Rolf playing the piano. Any other ones? Oh yeah, actually, this is the first time where we actually are introduced to a new bit in The Muppet Show called Bear on Patrol, where in this one we see Fozzie Bear trying to arrest someone for impersonating an officer, but it's just an impersonator doing the voice of Fozzie Bear. And this is just your introduction to the whole bit where we see Link Hogthrob and Fozzie Bear as a police officer. And, like, you could tell that they're not bright, but, like, Link is more of the straight man, and Fozzie is more of, like, the goofball kind of officer, in a way. Or, I don't know, like, that's actually worth studying a bit more to see, like, I don't know, the science between Bear on Patrol, to see, like, who is the funny man, who is the straight man, who's more dumber, who's smart. I don't know, like that I would have to analyze a little bit more onto it, but yeah, basically this episode is your introduction to Bear on Patrol, and I guess, like, the more I'll watch Bear on Patrol, the more I'll understand, like, whose role is which. But actually, we also got the return of Vendaface. There was this, like, this big vending machine. He hasn't appeared in a long time, but this time, he wants to go grant wishes, and this guy came in because he asked to be taller, and I'm not going to say much, but it's pretty much the Muppet antics that you would expect. Now, in terms of the special guest stars, I would have to say that with Leslie Uggams, it is a bit standard. Like, you could tell that she is more of a Broadway singer, and even the theming, it's very default in a way in terms of the Broadway setup, but it's actually very well executed. I have to say that I really did enjoy it. Like, it actually starts out with Hey There, Good Times, where Leslie Uggams would be singing with all the monsters. So you got, like, all the big monsters pretty much dressed up all fancy-like, and it's pretty much your standard Broadway get-up. And then there's another one where she talks with New Zealand just a little bit about his boomerang fish act, and then suddenly she would sing Here You Come Again, just mostly to reference the fish. But, like, I guess the star in that little bit there is not necessarily Leslie, but more New Zealand, just throwing the fishes all the time. And then finally there is the finale where Leslie and Big Bird, they finally get together. That's kind of like the whole setup that they're trying to build upon. They would sing Love Would Keep Us Together. And with that one, I have to admit, it's a little bit weird. And the thing is that this would be my only criticism with this episode, is the way that they kind of executed Love Will Keep Us Together, and it's more on Leslie's part, because you can definitely tell that she was lip-syncing. And actually, allow me to just give you a bit of a clip, and I'll zoom in a bit on Leslie's face to show you what I mean.
Look in my heart and let love keep us together.
So yeah, like, you could tell that she's not necessarily singing it. It's not like they're filming it and she's actually performing live. You could tell that she pre-recorded her song, and that's pretty much it. And even the reactions and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't coordinate with her voice, so it does feel a little bit off there. But then you also got the contribution of Big Bird. And if you guys follow the Muppet Vlogs, or you guys watch all the episodes of The Muppet Show, you may remember this is actually not the first time that members of the Sesame Street actually came in to be a guest star. Way back in one of the first episodes of The Muppet Show ever, Ernie and Bert would actually come in as a guest star. But there is a little bit of a difference, where in that episode right there, Ernie and Bert only appeared in one little skit, and that's it. I think it's only in the last one, and they didn't really do more. They didn't do more with it. With this one, however, Big Bird actually does feel more like a prominent guest star. Like, he actually has equal billing to Leslie Uggams, and often you see Big Bird interacting with the other Muppets backstage, like Miss Piggy and Gonzo, and like some of the other stuff. And, you know, it actually feels genuine. You actually do see Big Bird, and basically what you got is basically what he delivers. Like, what you want, he actually delivers it. It's Big Bird interacting with the other Muppets. And of course, like, you got the ending number with Love Will Keep Us Together. And of course, like, even though I do have a bit of issues with Leslie Uggams' part, I can't really say anything bad to Big Bird. I mean, Big Bird is Big Bird, and he even does his job very well. So, like, really good job on you, Big Bird. So, yeah, basically, if I had to go overall with this episode, I was not expecting that it would actually be this good, and it would actually have a lot of landmarks on this episode. It was actually really fascinating to see Gonzo's relationship with Camilla, kind of see the origins of that. How did it all begin? Also, a lot of the musical numbers, a lot of the skits are actually very well executed. They're a lot of fun to watch. My only problem is the ending bit with Love Will Keep Us Together, where it does look like Leslie is just lip-syncing to it than actually singing it live on stage. Other than that, like, outside of that, Leslie Uggams was great. Big Bird's contribution was definitely fascinating, and it does make that episode stand out. So I would have to say, to any Muppet fan, this is an absolute must-watch for the entire series. Like, I'm not saying this is, like, the one that you must see, but this is one of them that you gotta watch in terms of the Muppet Show. Just because of the landmark moments that do happen with the first time that you see Bear on Patrol and Gonzo's relationship with Camilla. And also, you do get some nice extras with Leslie Uggams' performance on some of the numbers, and also especially Big Bird. So at least for any Muppet fan, this is an absolute must-watch, and I'm really glad that I watched it. So anyways, that is pretty much it with this episode. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see if we will get more unique moments like this happening onto the next episode, but we will only know until next time, so see you later, dudes!